Headed out Sunday. I think somebody told me that this will be our fourth year in a row playing on Super Bowl Sunday. So, headed to New Orleans. Not only is it Super Bowl Sunday, honestly, do not know the two teams that are playing, but it's also Mardi Gras in New Orleans. So, we're trying to stay as far away from all that chaos as possible. And to no disrespect to Mardi Gras and no disrespect to the Super Bowl, but we have a job at 1 o'clock that we need to make sure we show up for. We'll jump into the prep work today and hopefully be really prepared against a team in Tulane that just does a tremendous job at just sharing the basketball. And the 71% assist rate the other day against Memphis was impressive, and they had two really good players at the in the perimeter in Asher Woods, who went 4 for 5 from three, but the 5 assists, 1 turnover, and then you have Rowan Brumbaugh, who was preseason Player of the Year, and can really navigate that ability on the perimeter. And we're not going to overthink their matchup zone, but it is a little bit different in their style of play than what we normally see. So we're excited to play, and we'll be. I'm really confident we'll be prepared on 1 o'clock on Sunday.
What about Asher and Rowan really kind of stands out to you in terms of kind of how they run their offensive framework?
Yeah, the window that some players can pass in versus others is different, right? Some people need bigger windows in order to make a pass because their precision is not at a really high level. Rowan doesn't need much, and again, you have a guy at his size who has the ability to find people on the floor, and they put shooters out there, and they have a number of them that they can kind of spread the court with. But what makes them a little bit different is you have a guy in Ringgold, number 0, who at the 5 spot, I believe he shot 41 threes so far in the year. So now you get our guys who aren't used to defending a perimeter 5 in their 5 out system, who can spray you from 3 point line, and Rowan can find them. Rowan can see the help. Y'all are putting two on the ball, and they can throw back to a 5 man, and then their off ball cutting is really good. And so Asher and Rowan set all of that up. And we don't face many 5 out teams with perimeter bigs who can shoot it at that level. I can't think of any that we've had on the year inside of our conference. And then at the same time, the zone. It just there's a unique style of play. Rowan and Asher are returners from this level of and style of play, so they understand it really well, and that what makes them tough is they're really experienced inside of their system, and at the same time, they've got the personnel on the court to really stretch you. And those guys, I mean, between the two of them, they had 12 assists the other day, and I think 12 assists, 4 turnovers. So those two are really good.
Going back on film from that Charlotte game, can you talk about kind of what impressed you that game Wednesday versus the first time you faced them in January?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this after the game, but to hold those guys to 5 assists was impressive in my mind. Like they were 5 for 9 at the half, and we didn't change anything that we did at halftime. Even though they were 1 for 9 in the second half, we just had from three. We just needed to remind our guys what we needed to do. What I am impressed by is earlier in the year, in order to course correct, it would take us a little while. And guys wouldn't understand necessarily the course correction. I'm not going to go on a tangent here, but the open shot will always hurt you more than the mismatch. Okay, you don't want to give up open shots. I'd prefer if you've got a 7 footer and we've got a 5 foot 1 guy, let the 5 foot 1 guy guard the 7 footer rather than let's maintain our matchup and leave some guy open and now there's zero resistance. And so what we were doing is, because we're switching defense on the perimeter, is there's matchups you want to maintain, and sometimes game to game it's different, and guys forget. because the habits have already been built in. And you have to course correct, and you got to remind guys that this is what we're doing, and really just impressed at how, like, I mean, we can do it now from the sideline. It used to take timeouts, it used to take halftime in order to course correct. Now it doesn't, and I thought that our guys, once they went through it, we botched two of them by Mingo. Obviously, he was 2 for 3 there in the first half. We botched two of them, but he was 0 for 2 in the second half, and you can watch us handle that. Just how we were defending the 3-point line a little bit better, and we're top 50 in the country at defending the 3-point line, and so our guys understand the urgency. But go back to Damani Harrison and his ability to get 10 threes. The first time we played him, he shot one. So I thought our guys, when we botched it, we course corrected pretty quickly.
On that zone that Tulane plays, have you seen what they try to like force teams into with it?
They change. Like you're not gonna be able to go to an action and continue to get it over and over again. And teams that have done well against those guys, they have to do it a variety of different ways. And so if you just give them a steady diet of anything, they will. They do a good job of morphing into something else, and that's the value of a matchup. Is like you don't know where the help is coming from. Sometimes you can go into a game, and if it's their man, you understand their pick and roll coverage, and this is what's going to occur. The unpredictability of their defense and then their ability to morph inside of a game is really impressive, especially when you're looking at a zone. You can't. The biggest thing that this is going to come down to is shot selection. A lot of times against zone, people will just settle for threes, and they say, "Hey, we have a zone buster, we have a zone play. Let's just turn around and take threes." And then all of a sudden, you remove your offensive rebound advantage. People will tell you that what boxing out versus inside of a zone is a little bit more difficult because you're assigned areas, and if you can overload an area, that person may have too many people in order to try to get out of a play. So your shot selection becomes real important. And I'm not telling you that we're not going to shoot threes, but what I am telling you is we have to be smart about it. But the ball cannot stick. That ball has to move. And then we need to be able to retrieve some second chance opportunities, given our size.
And you face UAB, they also have a more big zone defense too. What are some of the similarities, differences there?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know. I just uh, they'll throw different defenses at you. UAB, whether it be a 1-3-1, a 3-2, a 2-3, they'll do some 3-quarter stuff. Whereas Tulane is they're just gonna navigate what's occurring. Like how they defend cutters is gonna change. How they defend high pick and roll is gonna change. How they defend overload is gonna change. And so they just change their defense. I was fortunate when I was at Baylor. We played a zone a good portion of the years that we were there that did really well. I mean, we would advance and get to Elite Eights and Sweet 16s with this morphing zone. So just having been around it and seen it, just and I thought we were good at Baylor. Just really impressed at how well they do it. So
Yeah, it seems like the Tulane zone, there's a mind game where you may think it's a good shot, but it's really a shot they want you to take.
yeah.
How do you talk about that with the team?
Yeah, we talk quite a bit about let's play to our strengths. We talk again. I'm not getting on anybody here, but if you look at T.J. Williams and Dylan Batee, on their catch and shoots this year, they're 1 for 20, right? It's a 5% shot. If they're going, doesn't necessarily mean that they're a bad shooter, but sometimes you can get baited into that. And we don't want to turn around and take shots that are 5%. And there are other things though that you can do. And for instance, going back to, I thought TJ was just phenomenal at sometimes teams will plug, they'll stand in the paint on him. Well, if you'll go move the ball and screen, for instance, Michael Gray, Kenyon Giles, who's there when you go screen to get Kenyon or to get Mike off of that because your man's all the way back. So if you can go screen and eliminate that on ball guy that's defending the person you pass to, we can get a real advantage here. And a lot of times, if you'll give it up, we'll get it back to you off of a short roll on account of the plug is so heavy in regards to being in the paint. So I think guys understand their strengths, and we just encourage guys to play to their strengths. There is no reason at all if I throw a 98-mile-an-hour fastball with my right hand to get up there and say, but I can throw with my left. And yeah, nobody doubts that. But that left-handed pitch isn't at the same level that right-handed pitch is. So I don't think our players take it as an insult. It's just I understand what my gifts are and what I'm doing, and I'm just going to stick to these strengths. So knowing that, I think we're far enough along in the year to where guys understand strengths, and we won't get baited into that. I just don't think we're that simple-minded at this particular juncture.
You started by mentioning, the kind of outside distractions, Mardi Gras weekend, Super Bowl weekend. What's kind of been the message in the locker room to limit those distractions?
We've actually talked about this 6 weeks ago. You have to eliminate distractions. For a lot of them, it is social media. No offense to social media. Weston does a good job. Weston actually does a phenomenal job of just monitoring it. But I think our players became aware of some of the backlash and criticism that you get after the DePaul game. And there were obviously some really appalling statements that were made after you lose a game of that nature. I go back to what Craig Porter told me. Just do not engage in social media. Encourage your players, encourage your staff not to do it. You realize that these people that are saying these things, they're not your fan base. They're the fringe. They're the 5% who love you no matter what you do. You could get beat by 100, and they'll say the Shockers are the greatest. And then you have your other fringe who you didn't win by enough, and you didn't do this. And so I think our players really experienced it. We had to address it quite a bit after the DePaul game. It's the nature of sports. It's the nature of collegiate sports, especially once you begin to get betting and a number of things involved. You're going to get a fringe element that's out there. And so we've really encouraged them. And so this is not a message that's new. Trust me, I really trust our guys. The way that you earn trust is you do what's right. If you do what's right, you're going to be trusted. We've had guys that have done what's right on the court, off the court. So I'm telling you, it's a non-factor being in New Orleans this time of year for our group.
Seems like this team has improved defensively second half of conference season in the past. Is the Charlotte game a sign that those kind of steps forward are underway?
Hope so. We've been good. We've been good at home. We haven't been very good on the road, and it's the old cliche: defense travels. Defense needs to travel, and we've been good defensively at home, regardless of the opponent. Other than that Rice second half, but we've been good at home. But defense does need to travel, and we need to do a much better job defensively, and it starts with Tulane. Thanks, guys.